Hello there, my girls and friends. Welcome to another installment of Mornings with Gray. I am glad you chose to be here with me this morning, and it is July 5th, the day after the Independence Day here in the United States, and I am just out here in my container garden. And you could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're choosing to hang out here with me, and I greatly appreciate that. Now, with that being said, today's episode, I want to focus a little bit more on container gardening because one, I'm sitting out in my container garden on my patio, but two, I think we need to go back to basics on a couple of things. Here's my logic I was thinking of this morning. Sometimes as seasoned growers, we get we forget about the basic stuff and we kind of gloss over all of those entry level terms, entry level things that a new grower may be trying to learn, because we don't give it a second thought. It's like this. It's this logic. Okay, it's like we go in trying to explain the purpose of a clutch to someone who's never driven a manual transmission. You know, so for that being said, I want to kind of go back to the basics on how to patio garden, how to grow in containers. Specifically, I want to talk about containers first and foremost. And excuse me, and of course, answering your questions all along the way. So, without much further ado, let's talk about containers, okay? Oh, and towards the end of the episode, I am going to feature a new plant that I just picked up, literally just picked up this morning. I want you guys to see it. I think you're going to love it. So, make sure you stick around. So, containers. All right, so when you're brand new and you're trying to can't drive stick. Hey, that's what I learned on first. I learned manual first, because if you can drive a manual, you can basically drive anything. Plus, being an automotive mechanic, you had to know how to drive manual working in a shop because you need to be able to move vehicles around in and out the shop. But going to containers, let's look at this. Okay, I'm not going to say anything negative, but some of us get so caught up on the containers that we forget the whole goal is the journey. So, we'll spend 20, 30, 40, 60, $80 on different containers, putting kind of the cart before the horse when we don't know the fundamentals of how to utilize those containers. Sometimes we'll get these massive terracotta pots, right? But the plant that you're growing in doesn't need that much space. You have too much surface area for that root structure to cover, and then you can end up easily overwatering. So this is the advice I'm going to leave with first and foremost. If you're new to gardening, start with some containers. Start with some containers because that's really going to be where you learn, where you where you can cut your teeth, so to speak. Start with some containers, and honestly, grow anything you can in anything you can. We don't have to go and get the elaborate clay pots, terracotta pots, porcelain pots. You know, grab an old bucket container. Hey, grab an old 5-gallon bucket that's clean, of course. You don't want to have any chemicals in there. Good morning to you all. So, growing anything you can. That's how I started. I mean, literally, country crock. You know how many seedlings and how many things I started in some country crock containers or some old Cool Whip containers, Tupperware. Oh, my wife used to get on me so bad, like, where are all my Tupperware? Out in the garden somewhere. I mean, you name it. I've cut gallon buckets, not gallon buckets, but milk crates, milk gallons. I've cut them in half and I've grown in them. Sister Studio. She says, I get buckets from the bakery for free. There you go. See, free is even better because we don't want to break the bank yet. When we're just starting out, we really have to learn our craft first before we start wanting to spend some money. And now, with that being said, would you like a quick story? I'm a story guy. I love storytelling. Okay, this is a good one. It's from my past. So, believe it or not, cowboy hat isn't just for show. Uh, I am a true outdoorsy, play the guitar, listening to some blues kind of guy. And so years ago, many moons ago, we're not going to date myself, but many moons ago, I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and I was fortunate enough to hang out with this awesome rock and blues band, local rock and blues band in San Antonio. And now we're hanging out at this bar, and the bass player, I'm really cool with the bass player. We'll say his name is Phil. Okay. So I'm hanging out with Phil. We're hanging out at the bar. And so I asked him for some advice, like you guys might do with me. I say, hey, I want to learn guitar. What advice can you give me? And now, before Phil could even answer, his friend, we'll say Greg, who has already had a couple of cervezas, he chimes in. He's like, oh, I know what you need to do. So Phil, just being the calm, cool guy, he's a bass player. You know, bass players are always naturally cool. Just kind of sits back. Greg goes and says, all right, so what you need to do is you need to go and get you a Gibson Les Paul. That's what you need. Get you a Gibson Les Paul, and you'll be good to go, because then you can do anything. And I was like, okay, me being the novice, not knowing what that terminology means at all. I was like, oh, okay, sounds good to me. I'll have to look into that. And so Greg gets up, goes to the restroom. Phil looks at me and said, don't listen to that idiot. I was like, okay, what's going on? He was like, do you know what a Gibson Les Paul is, Greg? I'm like, no, just a guitar. He was like, that's the guitar that Bob Marley played with. That's a $2,000 guitar. He was like, don't listen to him. He was like, look, you want to learn how to play the guitar? Go to a pawn shop, go to a thrift store, find something used, beat up. He was like, and just hammer away on it. Go to town. Learn your craft. Learn your skill. Take lessons. I'll teach you. But learn your skill first. He was like, and then once you actually have some skill and you've gone down the journey, then you spend you a little bit of coin. He was like, but don't listen to him. And so, even though this is not about gardening, I really think it's one of those things that can really pertain to life. And that's why it's a story I've kept with me for so many years. Because the same thing can be said about gardening. Don't go buy the $1,500 uh, garden tower contraption and dilly, that is going to set you back in the bank before you've actually learned a little bit more about what it is you're trying to do. Does that make sense? So, that's my advice for anyone starting a garden. Start with some containers and just grow in anything you can. Because as you start to get better, then you can start to actually spend your money. Make sense? So, now with that being said, that was my little story. And that was me talking about container gardening. Today, actually, I'm going to be doing a little bit of container gardening too. And I'm going to be doing this down actually by my pool area. And so I want to show you the new plant that I'm going to be planting. All I'm going to say is think tropics. I'm in here in Texas, but I don't know. I don't know if the islands are in my blood or something. I have a love and affection for the tropics and tropical plants. So I'm going to show you that plant here in a moment. But in the meantime, what questions do you have? Remember, I'm here to service you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you grow. Let me see those questions and let me answer. In the meantime, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. That's good. It's funny. As much coffee as I drink, sometimes in these videos, I need a coffee sponsorship. Community coffee. That's what I drink. Uh, hey, I'm here. I'm Gray. Come talk to me. All right, I digress. So we have no questions up so far. So let me go ahead, without further gilding the lily, let me go ahead and show you this new plant that I picked up. So my vibe is that down by the pool, I already have my Cavendish bananas. I already have my plumerias. I have a lot of my tropical plants down there because it's a pool. I wanted to kind of have that almost Florida, Miami kind of Miami Vice, showing my age again, Miami Vice kind of vibe, but on a budget. So I like adding my tropical plants, and check this lady out right here. Now, I literally just picked her up this morning because my goal is I also picked up some calla lilies. I'm going to take some calla lilies and then I'm going to mix in this planter along with these daylilies, and look at that color. I mean, be honest. Who can you not love this color? I mean, the vibrant pinks with the yellows and the pollens there. So what we're going to do And definitely make sure you check out the video later because I'm going to be working on that today. Um, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my calla lilies as like my main plant in this pot, and then I'm going to be positioning the daylilies around it, so we get a nice pop of greens, reds, the pinks and lavenders in there, so we get a really nice kind of pop in there. And so with that being said, I'm going to be mixing up some nice, good, draining sandy loam today. And then along with that sandy loam, of course, I'm going to be adding in maybe a little bit of bone meal so we can get some phosphorus. Beautiful day, Lily. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Yes, I just, I love my flowers. I love that color. It really adds to it. Now, switching gears for a moment, this is all ornamental that we're doing. This is not for my vegetable growers and so forth. And you can say, well, oh, it's actually helping out your pollinators. Not really, because these daylilies, the calla lilies, even the plumerias, my native bees are not really messing with those things. So it's really just for the aesthetics. If you want something that's going to attract pollinators for your local pollinators, you're gonna need things it's in your area that your local bees like. For instance, like your basils, tomatoes, and those different, and of course, your native plants, your sages, and so forth. So yeah, you want to go native if you're trying to attract native bees. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be mixing up some sandy loam. I'm going to be staging that pot up. So definitely make sure you check out that reel later because I really think you guys are going to like it. But how was everyone's Independence Day, 4th of July? We didn't do much here at the Brown residence. We just kind of hung out. I smoked some salmon. No, did I smoke salmon? No, I sauteed up some grilled. I did something with some salmon. I grilled some salmon, kind of hung out on the deck. The kids had their sparklers running around, and we just kind of kept it real low key. Plus, we had a little bit of a rain event yesterday, but yeah, it was actually pretty nice. And then of course I hung out with my dog, my Stormy girl, my lab, and she just loved that, hanging out on the deck with us, running around, looking at plants, playing in the garden. But back to container gardening, back to patio gardening, and growing on the deck. So we talked about our containers, right? Remember, the advice I give is grow in whatever you can. Of course, add some drainage holes. Now that's a key caveat there. If you're going to grow, and good morning to everyone that has joined us. This is Mornings with Gray, and we are just having a good time out here. It's a great day to be out in the garden and a great time to be with you. So, yeah, so if the advice I've given earlier is that if you're going to, excuse me, if you are going to, choose to start growing in containers is great. Growing anything you can, but don't break the bank. Grow whatever you can in whatever you can, and then add drainage holes. You need to have. Good morning, Kay. You need to have drainage holes. No matter what the plant is, you're going to need some drainage. You don't want your plants just sitting in water. So if you have an old bucket, if you have an old container, drill you some holes in it, however you safely can, whether it's with a drill, whether it's with a soldering iron, whatever means you can that you can do so safely, and get growing. Get growing. And then now, all right, now some of my seasoned growers, I'm about to call some of y'all out, myself included. Once you have built up a nice collection of containers and you're growing, throw them old containers away. Throw those old containers away. I'm gonna tell you, look, I was cleaning out some stuff yesterday, and I double taked and I looked at this container like I don't need that container. I'm like, I might need it, so I kept it. But no, 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 no. Throw those old containers away if they're dilapidated, cracked, and so forth. Trust me, I know gardeners are like the best recyclers in the world, and it's hard for us to part ways. But get rid of them old containers. Sister Studio says I've used wood crates too, but they rot over time. They do. They do. You know, I, look at my background. Look at my canopy. I love being in the woods. I love being out in nature. One of my hobbies is actually woodworking too. I'm a multifaceted man. I like multiple things. But unfortunately, even though the warmth and the moisture retention that comes from the wood does deteriorate over time. It's just the truth of the nature. I mean, now you can try lining your wood crates with something that will not deviate, but something that will kind of slow down the rotting process. Maybe some kind of fabric or something like that. But it is still going to happen. And that even applies with your cedar. Because a lot of times people like to say, oh, cedar, cedar won't rot. No, cedar is still a wood. It's rot resistant, but it still will decay over time. But yeah, you can definitely try to oh, looks like I have a request here. All right, let's see. Now, Judith would like to request to be in a live. Let's see if we can add Judith in and see. Judith, did you have a specific question or you just want to hang out with us or you maybe hit the wrong button? Because, I've never done that before, but hey, willing to try. But yeah, going back to the original thought is that eventually your wood will rot. And that's just the nature of the beast. So that's why sometimes, again, once we've established that skill set and once we truly know kind of a little bit of what we're doing, because we'll never truly know everything, right? Then you can start spending a little bit of coin and maybe getting your clay pots, your terracottas, your, what's the word I'm looking for, your porcelains and so forth. 3 or 4 years is not bad for free wood. Hey, no, it's not. I'm not mad at that at all. Hey, if you can get you a good 3 to 5 out of a container, I think that's a win. And honestly, free, you know, free. Oh, that being said, we were having a conversation over on our gardening community. Myself and Andre, the farmer, we have a gardening community by the name of Better Gardener. And we were having a conversation about, this was Thursday, about finding deals, right? And being frugal gardeners. For those free things, hey, use those apps. What is it? The marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. Morning Tsunami Beats. Good to have you with us. Um, I'm not a huge fan of some of the groups on Facebook because they can be very negative, very combative. But there is Facebook Marketplace where people offer up things free all the time. There's also that app Offer Up. And then it's just sourcing your local community. And then here's a resource for you. Check with your master gardeners, your local master gardeners. Because guess what? They are always doing things for free. They're always giving things away. Back a couple of years ago, a few of the master gardener ladies that's in my Ellis County branch, they had all of these rain barrels that they were giving away. They were rain barrels they had made for an event to show folks how to create their own rain catching system. And they had just like a bunch of left over. And it was like, hey, anybody who has a truck, anybody who wants to get them, come and get some. So, of course, I told some of my local gardeners to go and check them out. And they were giving them away for free. So definitely check with your master gardeners and see what events they have available because a lot of the stuff is 100% free to you. So check your resources. Master gardeners, like I said, they and your local ag extension. Check with your offer ups, your local newspapers sometimes, as well as your Facebook marketplaces, because you can find a lot of good gardening things for free 99. The conversation we were having over at Better Gardener was one of the members was asking about mixing up their own soil because we were talking about soil, about sandy loam. And she was saying, what's the best way to mix soil? And I was like, I always mix mine by hand. But I recommended the advice I gave her was to check out if anyone's giving away like a compost tumbler. Because if you can find one of those compost tumblers and you can throw your sand, your soil, your organic matter, whatever you mix, whatever soil combination you're making, if you can throw all that in a compost tumbler, that actually be a really easy way of mixing up to get that that soil consistency that you're looking for. Because I'm a huge believer. If you have healthy soil, you'll have healthy plants. So that was a bit of advice that I gave her, and then we just went down this whole rabbit hole. And that's what I love about Better Gardener. We may start talking about garden, but then we just start talking about all kind of things. I was telling them about deals that I had found before on like a gas grill, vehicles that I found for real cheap, so forth. And again, that's our crew over at Better Gardener. We really It's more than just a community. We're just a group of friends now. And we talk twice a week. Yeah. So, questions. I'm here to answer. What's on your mind? What's your thoughts? And if you are just joining us, good morning. Thank you for being here with me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to hang out with Gray, and I greatly appreciate that. And for those of you just joined, let's show our feature plan again. This is our daily that we're going to be playing today. So make sure you definitely check out that reel so you can see how I stage everything up. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here. Oh, now, I think I told you, I had a little bit of a rain event here in Dallas uh, for the 4th of July yesterday. And so it's a little humid out here right now. I don't know if you can hear the cicadas in the background talking to me, but mosquitoes are out right now. So with that being said, before I jumped on this episode, I made sure I put on my Sonia's bug spray because they would be just gnawing on me right now. Speaking of rain, let me show you something. Ooh, that's the way I said that cadence. You guys remember a show called In Living Color? I just went straight Fire Marshal Bill there for a moment. All right. So yesterday, like I said, we had a little bit of a rain event. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was enough to knock over one of my plumerias. Now, we have a question here. It knocked over one of my plumerias. If you have any information, the question is, Kay says, if you have any information on how to control the mosquitoes, please let us know. Yes, Kay. All right. Mosquitoes. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but I do want to tell you guys about the plumeria. But yes, I'm going to address that. Mosquitoes, they're vicious out here. And I have a creek right behind my backyard back here. So I always have mosquitoes. All right. So with that being said, I see my friend here, Deluscious Gardening. All right. Good to see you there. I love it. At home. That's my friend. All right. So yesterday we had a little bit of a rain event. And it knocked over my plumerias. You know, I love my plumerias. Very nice tropical flowering plant. Completely topped it. I mean, just lopped off a complete branch. I picked it back up, of course. And I took that topper, and guess what? I put it in some soil, a little bit of rooting hormone, removed most of our leaves here, only leaving these top two. And guess what? This will spawn a new plumeria. So, sometimes in life, things happen. Plants get knocked over. Might have a bad day. Might stub a toe. But it's all about what you do with that. Yeah, I could have been sad about the plumeria. That was a really good branch. It had a lot of nice leaves on it. But took that plumeria, allowed it to callus over where it broke, popped it down in some soil, and I honestly say, give it about 2-3 weeks, we'll have roots. And now it's funny, every time the wind blows, my plumeria collection grows. Started off with 2, and I think now, including this new growth, we're going to be looking at 5 now. So I guess that's nature saying, hey, you need more of these plumerias. Let me just give you some more. So yeah, it's all about perspective. It's all about what you do with it. But now the question that was asked earlier, asked. Sorry, I have a southern accent because a lot of people give me like, don't ask me, it's ask. I have a southern accent, so it happens sometimes. The question that we're referring to was from Kay, and Kay said, "Is there any advice you can give us about mosquitoes?" Yeah, honestly, when it comes to mosquitoes, it's I'm going to tell you right now, there is no amount of plants that you can have around that's going to stop mosquitoes. It's just the truth. There's different plants that you can grow, like your lemongrasses, your citronellas, and so forth. But citronella, actually, the plant itself does not actually deter the mosquitoes. It's the oil that's made from it. Lemongrass and your peppermints and your uh, spearmints, they will help as well. But realistically speaking, there is no level of plants that you can have that will completely just eliminate all the mosquitoes around you. I mean, granted, I'm always trying to create an indoor jungle or, grow as many plants as I can, but it's not, there's not enough surface area because Mosquitoes, I mean, they've been around since 65 million years ago. They have evolved, and you're not getting rid of. The only way you can really, really get rid of mosquitoes in your area is by getting those mosquito dunks. Putting a 5-gallon bucket out, putting those mosquito dunks in because they attract the mosquitoes. They go in there to try to lay their larvae, lay their eggs, and so forth, and they die off. And now I'm going to tell you really who's biting it. It's the female mosquitoes. The male mosquitoes, they're just there. They're almost think of mosquitoes like Amazons, right? They're just there as concubines. The female mosquito is the one that's actually biting you. So when you're getting stung up, be like, these mosquito women, no, just joking. But the truth of the matter is that's who's biting you. It's a female mosquito, and by utilizing those dunks, that can definitely help you out. Um, and then, of course, wearing a topical like Sonia's bug spray. Sonia is a really good friend of myself and Andre's, and every single morning, I apply my Sonia's bug spray as soon as I come out in the garden. And you guys know I'm in the garden every single morning. It smells great. It's all natural. It's certified organic. It's available on soniasbugspray.com, also available in her TikTok shop. So put you some Sonia's bug spray on, and it's an oil, so it's gonna feel good on your skin. It really feels pretty good, and you can be out in the garden for a couple hours completely unscathed. So that would be the recommendation and advice I would give, because a lot of people tell you, oh, grow this, grow that, grow that. It varies depending on your area. For instance, again, I have a creek, so I mean I'm always having that stagnated water back there. So yeah, I can try, knocking over containers that might have anything less than like an eighth of an inch of water, because that's all it takes, about like an eighth of an inch of water, something to break that surface tension, right? And I could try dumping all that stuff out, but it's irrelevant because I have an expansive tree canopy, which provides a lot of shade, which mosquitoes like. I have a creek, so it's always humid here. And that humidity, that's when they're the worst. Have you guys ever heard of a little show called Naked and Afraid? Now, granted, I have no desire to ever be on that show. I like clothes. I wear them for a reason. But I do like that show because I like survival type shows. I don't know. I guess that's the woodsy guy in me, right? Um, and then, but I can only do short doses of Naked and Afraid because there's only so many blurred naked bums that I can look at for so long. But I digress. Anytime they go out to the Amazon, anytime they're in the dense jungle and it's after a fresh rain, I'm like, I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be bug city, it's going to be mosquito city. It takes me back from when I, in the United States Army. Like, yeah, whenever after a heavy rain, that air is its densest, that's when they thrive. That's when they fly the best. So they come out eating. So yeah. So I hope that helps. I hope that shines a little light on the mosquito situation for you and gives you a realistic expectation, because that's all what I'm all about. I don't fill you up full of hype. I'm going to tell you the real, because I'm not AI. I'm a real person. Any other questions? We've ran a little bit over on our time today because we try to keep things down to about 30 minutes. Keep it nice, short bites. But before we go, any other questions, let me know in the comments and I will definitely help you out, because that's my goal here. Oh, wait. Say. Sister Studio says, we are at the Central Park Conservancy yesterday doing some catch and release fishing. There are so many dragonflies out there and absolutely zero mosquitoes. Oh my goodness, my friend. I am glad you say that, because that is something you can do to help. Two things, okay? One, bats. If you have bats around, bats will eat their body weight in mosquitoes every night. Some people get turned off by bats. I would love to have some brown bats around here. But two, dragonflies. Now, see, here's the challenge, though. With dragonflies, you have to create almost like an aquaponic kind of garden to attract dragonflies. Because dragonflies, just like mosquitoes, like to lay their eggs in water, standing water. So when they have that standing water, and maybe they have like a couple of plants, I've seen this brilliant video on how to create one. Actually, it's a gardener, I want to say out in North Texas as well. I believe I saw it on TikTok. And I was like, this is genius. But if you can create an environment that is inviting to your dragonfly population, they will just devastate your mosquitoes. But again, you're creating a whole ecosystem. So while you're creating that environment for the dragonflies, you're also creating that environment for your mosquitoes as well. So it's like a double-edged sword. You're providing a food source for one, but then you become food source for the other. But yeah, dragonflies definitely will help out. I'm so glad you said that, Sister Studio. That is a great comment. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Well, it has been fantastic speaking with you, as always. This has been Mornings with Gray, and we talked a little bit about container gardening today. We talked a little bit about daylilies and creating a tropical environment. And then you got to hang out with yours truly. And I truly enjoyed that. It's been amazing talking to you. I'll talk to you again real soon.